I'm Chris. I'm the second oldest. I'm Mom's second oldest, and I want to thank everybody for being here as well. We really appreciate you being here, and the love and the support that you're showing us and the family and Mom means a lot to all of us, especially the Wells for coming literally from all over the country to be here today. I know Mom would be pleased that you're here, so thank you for that as well. And Bob, thank you for being here as well. Some of you, many of you don't know, but a week ago, Sunday, Mom was starting to deteriorate, and she was in the hospice facility. It was one of her days where she really wasn't responding much at all. And Bob came over to bring communion, and Linda to bring communion, and the family got together in a room, and he brought some holy oil as well, and we bathed Mom in the water and had communion, and sang some songs and said some prayers. And I know, though she didn't really respond, I know she felt the prayers, felt the presence. It was a special time for us, so we appreciate all that you've done, Bob. And then Audrey, Gail, and Dawn, I'm sorry. Thank you for the beautiful music. It means a lot for us as well. So what we want to do is really just open it up for anybody to have comments or have stories to talk about Mom. It's an open mic, if you will, open forum. For my part, Mom taught me a lot in my life, but I think the thing that really will resonate with me and that I'll hold dear is, and what I'll remember her for was really her strength and perseverance. We all go through trials and tribulations in our life, but Mom went through a lot, and losing Dad very early in her life and raising this crazy family of ours with these 10 beautiful grandchildren and a couple of great-grandchildren that are talking to her tonight. But she really, through it all, she had that beautiful smile on her face, and she just never let anything get her down. We all go through things and we get upset about the trivial things in life, and she was one that really just always smiled, and she had her operations on her knees and her hips and all the things she went through, but she never felt sorry for herself, and she was always one in the family that was trying to keep the peace. She was always trying to make everybody else happy and really not thinking about herself, but really thought about us and her friends and the people she loved. So that's what I'll hold true to me and think about as I think about Mom. But again, thanks for being here. Mom, I'm going to miss you, and I love you. It is an open mic.
For those of you I don't know, I'm Gina, and I'm the third, and right smack dab in the middle of everybody. So, and I have a little bit more of a lighthearted story, but it's one that has stuck with me all through my life, and it said a lot about who she was. So I was probably, and I think both my children have heard this, I hope so, if not it's going to be a big surprise. I was probably 8th grade, maybe summer of my 8th grade, and that was, as everybody remembers, that was the time when we know it all and parents don't know anything and all you want is your friends. And so that's exactly where I was at. And my sister and I in Little Rock shared this bedroom. We had a 2-story house, and it was a split level, but the bottom was submerged, kind of. Anyway, and the bedroom that Mimi and I shared was this humongous room. It was probably almost this big. It was right below the formal living room, so maybe they had 2 homes in there at one time. But we had this room, and there's lots of stories we could tell of that room, but we won't go there. But the nice thing was that the window was right at ground level. So when we looked out our window, there's the ground. And so, of course, 8th grade, Mom was way upstairs in the back corner, and she slept pretty heavy. 6 kids, you have to sleep pretty good. And so many a night we would have people come to the window and knock on the window and come to say hi. Well, this particular night, they came in, and Mimi was gone. You were probably in college by then, I'm sure.
I was good.
So I probably had a dozen people that just climbed in the window, and we had our fun, and never thought Mom would ever hear a thing. And so all of a sudden, I hear people going, shh, shh, shh. And so, sure enough, she didn't just open the door, she knocked on the door. You know? It was probably 1 o'clock in the morning, and that's the kind of the person Mom was, always polite, always, you know. So she knocked on the door, and she opened it up, and all I see is this little 5-foot woman who, you know, can't scare anybody. She had her bouffant cap on, and she just looked around, and everybody, there was people trying to climb out the window, under the beds. People were going everywhere. And then as soon as the door opened, though, I remember so vividly, everybody just froze. Whatever position they were in, they just froze. And so she just kind of looked around and found me. She didn't yell, she didn't scream. She just looked at me and said, I want to speak to you outside. So I knew, of course, I was in great, great trouble. But everybody else, I remember she shut the door, and of course everybody's out the window. I'm surprised the windows didn't crack as they were going so fast. But afterwards, of course I got in trouble, but that's the woman that Mom was. She was the gentle spirit. She didn't cause a scene. She didn't scream and yell, although later I can't say that that's not the truth. But in front of everybody else, she just was very firm, and she certainly scared the devil out of everybody there. But that was who she was. She didn't cause a ruckus. She did what she had to do, a lot of it behind the scenes, so nobody knew that anything more. And my friends talked about that forever and ever, about what a sweet woman she was and how lucky I was. They didn't know. They didn't know. But that's a story that I will never, ever forget. And it taught me a lot about the woman that she is, that she continued to be that person for the rest of her life. So I'm going to miss you like crazy, Mom. Thank you, everybody.
Hope I'm not stepping in front of someone else in line here. My name is Steve Wells, and Aunt Marilyn was more than one in a million. She was one of a kind. My brothers and I had the fun experience of knowing in advance when Uncle Sonny and Aunt Marilyn were coming to North Little Rock, because you could feel the excitement coming up Starfield Road, because no one had ever seen a blue Volkswagen bus before. So that was the stir of the neighborhood when the Pruniskis showed up. But we had other great moments. We had a aunt who was very wild, Aunt Jane, and she decided to take the 3 Wells boys across country to Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, to visit our cousins. And that was a great amount of fun. And that's when I discovered martinis. Every day, you know, Aunt Marilyn, she would, give us things to do, and we ran around the base, and there was a little shop that sewed snow cones and whatnot, and we hit that little shop 2 or 3 times a day. But at about 4:30, Aunt Marilyn would gather everybody, and she would go to the blender and start making this concoction, these martinis. And that's how she greeted Uncle Sonny. Every day when he came in off duty from the base, she'd give him this martini. And that continued throughout their marriage, because anytime they were coming to North Little Rock, my mother never went to a liquor store. But one day before Uncle Sonny and Aunt Marilyn would come, she'd go to the liquor store, and sure enough, vermouth. Had to buy vermouth, because, Uncle Sonny and Aunt Marilyn were coming. So we had just tremendous memories Uncle Sonny and Aunt Marilyn. And I think everyone who has spoken thus far certainly shares my thoughts. Aunt Marilyn had an infectious laughter. It didn't matter what problems were besetting her. If I would call her long distance after a surgery, "How are you doing, Aunt Marilyn?" and she'd be brutally honest, "Well, I'm not feeling very good." And 15 seconds later, she would be laughing. Just this infectious laughter. And it spoke to her indomitable spirit of just always being optimistic, always being cheerful, always seizing the moment, not letting anything take her down. And I can remember just in some of the weirdest circumstances, her laughing. I remember when the family moved back to North Little Rock before Uncle Sonny had his surgery, the Pruniskis lived in this house with this pool in the backyard. And the house was in good shape when they took possession of it, but the pool was not. And in the pool was, you know, I mean, it was maybe half filled with brackish water, and there were chunks of firewood and everything. And so Uncle Sonny, you know, he brought us all together and said, "We're going to clean out the pool." So while we're cleaning out the pool, we discover a copperhead snake. And that created sort of a stir, and Aunt Marilyn is standing on the patio as we're attacking the snake with logs, everything we've taken out of the pool, now we're throwing back into the pool to try to kill the snake. And Aunt Marilyn, even though she feels we're in peril, she's laughing at the top of her voice. You know, it's just amazing. And I know it was a bittersweet moment when Aunt Marilyn had to buy the house after Uncle Sonny died. You know, that was a big thing to, you know, buy a house, and this is where we're going to set up. But I remember her sitting at the table with my mother and saying, and I think, you know, it was a bittersweet moment. I think they were both showing emotion. And then Aunt Marilyn just turned to my mom and said, "Who would have ever thought we would have found a home on Flag Road? Why, Steve just had something to do with this. We're on Flag Road." You know, he was in the military. So even in the, you know, most bittersweet moments, you know, Aunt Marilyn, she would just have that infectious laughter. And certainly, if you had to say what legacy did Aunt Marilyn leave, well, all you have to do is look at the Pruniskis and see the love they have for each other. I mean, it is just a tight-knit, close family bound by love. In closing, I would just say, you know, in Scripture we read about the Messianic banquet. That is, you know, the metaphor for heaven where there will be choice wines and rich foods. And I'm hoping that at that Messianic banquet, Uncle Sonny will present this time to Aunt Marilyn a martini.
Hello, I'm Lisa, Chris's youngest daughter, but this isn't an exact memory, it's just how I'll remember Grandma. She's always very tech savvy, in my opinion. So, Grandma had a Facebook, and I know everybody has a Facebook now, but like, she had a Facebook before my mom had a Facebook, and my dad doesn't have a Facebook, so she's pretty with it. And my friends still to this day love it because on her Facebook it says like who your family is, and it says Marilyn Pruniski, my grandma, and my grandma would write "Happy birthday, Lisa" on my wall. And my friends are like, "Whoa, you have such a cool, hip grandma." I'm like, I know, but, you know, we tried to give my other grandma a computer, like, when I was, like, in 6th grade, because Grandma had had one for years. She knew how to work it, she would play all these games. I mean, she had games that, like, I would play, you know? That, like, I would be like, "Dad, we gotta get this game." It was this tile game. And And, you know, we got it after that because Grandma showed me a game. Like, usually your 5th grade friends show you a game, but Grandma showed me a game. And, you know, she was just smart. She could work a computer at my other grandma's store. She couldn't even, we bought her this new computer. She never even learned how to turn it on. She couldn't figure it out. It's still in her office, and she's never turned it on. So we tried, Grandma, but she's just not smart as you were. That's just Grandma. Like, she'll always just be this smart. She was so with it, you know. Fortunately, last time we were here was about 2 years ago. But she still knew all the stories from her past and remembered these things that Dad did when he was young. And she was just smart.
Hello, I'm Steve. I'm the youngest, baby Steve. And a little nervous. I don't know how well I'll do here, but we'll try. But one of the things that we love to talk about with Mom is so smart. I mean, just like you were saying, very unassuming, didn't really go out of her way to share stories, but boy, when you pulled it out of her, she had things that, I mean, stories of running across Elvis Presley. I mean, something you would have never known all these years, and then what, a month ago, she told me this story. So just could remember things that were just amazing. One of the things that is dear to me is, you know, obviously when it got to me, she was pretty tired. I mean, there was a lot going on by the time I got to be a teenager, and she was so patient and just put up with a lot of stuff. But like Gina said, she never raised her voice, was so calm and loving, and like Steve said, just the biggest soul in the world. So, you know, when I think of the legacy she leaves behind, I look at my immediate family, but really, you got to look past it and look at the kids that we brought up. They emulate who she is. And for Justin, I know he misses her, and it's sad that he's not here, but great kids, and it's all because of her. So I love you, Mom.
I'm one of them too. My name is Teresa, and I think I know most of you guys here, but I'm the oldest of the 3 little ones. And I'm a twin, and we just gave her heck, and I just wanted to still reiterate the fact that this woman was truly a saint. Think about it, she had 6 of us, and 2 were twins, the same age. She definitely tolerated an awful lot, never ever lost control, taught us all how to handle ourselves and to teach that to our children, like Steve said. And I'm so grateful she was there for us and to help us raise our children to be the best that they could be. And I hope that everybody, when they think about her, remembers all the fun times that we had with her, whether it was at work at AAA. She loved you guys so much. She talked about you all the time. I want you to know that. She was constantly keeping in touch with people that were all over the world in her technical Facebook thing. She really enjoyed that Facebook, as technical as it was. And even to the last, you know, few weeks that she was struggling, she thought about everybody else and everything else. And I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming and helping us celebrate her life. She was a wonderful woman, and she appreciates you guys being here. So thank you.
Hi, my name's Kathleen Kirsting, and I'm actually going to talk. I'm a really good friend of Mimi's and Gina's and my uncle group, and I know Missy, and I mean, I know most of the people here, which is very nice, but Mimi's my dear friend. But when I first met Mimi, we figured out that, and I met Mimi, 30 years ago, we figured out that a long, long time ago, Marilyn was a good friend of my mother's. They went to school together, at St. Teresa of Avila in Kansas City. And they both were excellent piano players, pianists. They were in the music program together. And I talked to my mom the other day, and she just wanted me to remind everybody how wonderful a pianist Marilyn was. And she accompanied my mother during her recital for her graduation. So I just wanted to remind everybody that, yes, she was a wonderful mother and grandmother and friend, but she was also a wonderful musician. And my mother wanted me to make sure everybody knew that. So thank you guys.
I don't really have a story. Oh, I'm Leslie. I'm Chris's daughter, and this is Alice, Marilyn's third great-granddaughter. But we live in Kentucky, so we weren't around as much as the rest of the grandkids, so we didn't get that as close as some of the other grandkids were to Grandma. But, and as fun as it was to come here and visit, and there was always so much to do with the aunts and uncles and the cousins, and so it wasn't a lot of great time with Grandma, but what I really cherished is when she would come and visit us, because we kind of have her all to ourselves. We were just talking about that on the way here, about how fun that was, and kind of wanted to reiterate what Uncle Steve said about her just calming influence. And you know, we had a family of 5, there's always a lot going on, and Grandma would come in from school or sports or whatever, and she's just sitting on the couch, playing her games, and she could cross stitch or knit, and just very calming, and just, it was just really, really cool to have her there, special for us because it was a treat. So that's just what I remember the most and cherish the most.